decisiveness, but I'm gonna stay.
Look at that. Peyton Bowen putting on, I think that's a pink Oregon hat if the hand signal doesn't tell you enough. He is headed to Oregon. We've had a lot of crazy news happen over the last hour, and we will unload on that. Not just Peyton Bowen flipping from Notre Dame to Oregon. Oregon also adding in Matayo Uigalelei, one of the highest uncommitted prospects, a 5-star. Very excited for Oregon to get him. Also, Kendrick Falk, a defensive lineman, he flips from Florida State to Auburn. So much news has happened within the last hour, but this is signing day. We're excited to get to some live signings soon, so we will get you out there in a bit. But first off, what a couple of minutes, hours for the Ducks today. Anything shock you about this?
Yeah, it looked like a 5-minute span there, right, where Peyton Bowen announced his commitment to the Ducks. And it's a bit of a shocker because everyone, I think, assumed that Oklahoma was the biggest threat to Notre Dame. He had been long-standing commit there to the Irish, and the Oklahoma Sooners kept pushing. Oklahoma, it seemed like the destination, and then Oregon comes in there from the shadows and makes a late charge. You talk about hat science, Emily. He pulled out the limited edition pink breast cancer awareness hat. So, he didn't bring out just a normal hat, but Matayo Uigalelei, another big monumental pickup for Dan Lanning and the staff. This is why they brought him to replace Mario Cristobal. We obviously knew about what he was able to do at Georgia, his ability to coach the defense and bring up the talent and develop some of those high-profile stars. Well, his pedigree as a recruiter, we're seeing it now unfold on National Signing Day.
Yeah, how about that defense, that Dan Lanning defense? We know he recruited very well when he was at Georgia, bringing in some high-caliber prospects to Eugene. A lot of excitement surrounding Oregon right now. That's not how signing day started, though. It's been kind of up and down for Oregon. What do these two additions mean for the Ducks going forward?
Yeah, it's huge, and you factor in Austin Novosad as well, who they flipped from Baylor, the quarterback who kind of makes up for the loss of Dante Moore. It doesn't make up for it completely, and Dante Moore, a high-profile flip that happened earlier this week, the 5-star that headed to UCLA, but Oregon gets a chance now to win signing day, and the way they have responded, the way they have, in a way, battled adversity down the stretch here closer to the finish line, a lot of credit goes to that staff. A lot of credit goes to Dan Lanning, his ability to close. There were question marks about the direction of Oregon, considering that UCLA is headed to the Big Ten, USC is headed to the Big Ten. Where is Oregon going to be in the echelon there nationally if they are winning a Pac-12 that doesn't include the Los Angeles schools? Well, it certainly is not affecting their ability to attract top talent. These players are certainly making it obvious that Dan Lanning has that program trending in the right direction. And as long as they're attracting talent, as long as they're bringing in high-profile recruits, I think that's going to give them the ability to continue to replenish and stay up top.
Specifically with Matayo Uigalelei, 5-star edge, was going to make an instant impact wherever it is that he ends up. Kind of an interesting situation, though, with his announcement, right? Walk me through what happened today.
Yeah, we were watching some video of the announcement, and it looked like Jason Negro, the head coach at St. John Bosco, actually revealed the commitment for Matayo. Matayo wasn't there. I hit up Greg Biggins, our national recruiting analyst and West Coast insider. I asked him, hey, why didn't Matayo actually announce his decision? And he said he was actually in the hospital for a couple days battling some sort of stomach bug. But obviously we sent our best to Matayo and his family, and it was interesting that he actually didn't push things back. He didn't miss a sleep alarm. He didn't make it to his announcement, but it kind of indicates how important it was for him to reveal his choice. And this is another come from behind win, I think, for the Ducks. There had been a lot of noise about Ohio State potentially being the front runner. USC had a ton of late buzz here down the stretch. But Oregon, Dan Lanning, they got it done at the end.
Yeah, we certainly send our best to Matayo. Hopefully he gets to feeling better soon. I'm sure his new head coach, Dan Lanning, also hoping that he rests up, get ready to use this guy to put him as a piece on this defense. What sort of impact can he make year one?
Yeah, we always wonder about these high-profile players and how quickly they can impact the roster. And this is one of those players that does have a chance because of his physical traits, his attributes. You know, he's 6'5", 6'6", closer to 255, 260, maybe even more than that. And a guy that's been able to focus on both sides of the ball at the high school level. He plays tight end, they flex him out wide, they throw jump balls to him. We see the athleticism. But the impact that he's going to make along that defensive front is something that you can't really quantify, because the Ducks now have a ready-made, physically ready freshman that's going to be able to seal the edge and go up against some of those older offensive tackles and seal gaps. And he's so active with his hands, his pursuit. And I just wonder, how much more are we going to see out of Matayo's tank once he's not focusing on contributing on the offensive side of the ball and he's only worried about playing defense and making plays and going after the quarterback. I think we're going to see a lot of that untapped potential from Matayo Uigalelei.
Excited to see what he adds to this Ducks defense. Let's check in with our friend Steve Wilfong. Steve, you talked to Dan Lanning. What does he have to say about the last hour?
Well, he said that they're laying the foundation to be a championship football team. He can't comment on some of these prospects until they send in their letter of intent. But, you know, he said it's unreal. He said you get a special situation, guys working through the night to finish things off is pretty awesome, man. And said to ultimately be a championship team, you have to get championship players, and Oregon is certainly doing that today. They also flipped 4-star defensive back Dalen Austin from LSU, as you guys were talking up there. So another top 247 recruit in the fold for Oregon. They're trying to battle for Jaden Lamar. It looks like that could be another flip on deck from Notre Dame into Oregon's class. The Ducks are in on several guys here down the stretch. Ashton Porter, a 4-star defensive lineman. Perhaps Jamari Johnson, a 4-star pass catcher committed to Louisville right now. So nobody hotter than the Ducks, which is what we wrote last night and talked about at the beginning of the show.
Dan Lanning doing an excellent job down the stretch, dominating right here down the stretch of National Signing Day today. Guys that have defensive value like Matayo, he's going to find a role for him, I think, almost immediately as a true freshman. He really knows how to use those guys with those body types, long, thick, strong. What Dan Lanning is doing here is a masterclass in recruiting.
Steve, you talked about all of the momentum surrounding the Ducks right now. They started the day in the 12 to 15 range, solidly in the top 10 now at number 9. How high can this class go when we sign off here on signing day?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of depends on what happens ultimately with 5-star defensive lineman David DJ Hicks, currently committed to Texas A&M. There's a lot of buzz that Texas A&M solidified their commitment with Hicks with a visit to College Station this past weekend. But similar to Peyton Bowen, Oregon not going away with Hicks here at the end of the cycle. Hicks took 4 visits to Oregon throughout his process, the spring game, official in the summer, and 2 trips in the last month. I think he really likes the Oregon Ducks. So we'll see if he ultimately puts pen to paper with Texas A&M or if Oregon can make a late move here. There was one source that said that, hey, if Oregon can get Peyton Bowen, maybe it will help their chances with David DJ Hicks. So Oregon able to show Hicks now that Bowen's coming. So we'll see what happens with the number 1 defensive lineman in the top 247.